Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us.
Hello and welcome to Tuesday Night on Deck, brought to you by Coast to Coast Entertainment Network.
You're muted. Hey.
Sorry about that. So, I am the host, Big B. I'm joined by my usual guest. Well, maybe. Looks like Big Dog Greg had to step away for a little bit, but we got Coach D, we got Crispy Bacon, Syrup Crispy Bacon, as we like to call him, and we might be making a call to the bullpen here later if we can get some camera action going. But first off, we'll start off with Crispy Bacon. How are the Rangers doing?
They've been struggling. They struggled a few games up and down. They had a little winning streak, but I think fell a couple games. They're fixing to start against the Royals at home. It hadn't started, so.
All right. And there he is, Big Dog Greg. How are the Cardinals doing?
Well, we're not doing too bad right now. We're in second place right behind Milwaukee. I think we're sitting around 16-12 or so. We haven't really been on a tear like we were a few weeks ago. So we're kind of slowing down a little bit, but we're still hanging in there in second place. That division right now isn't doing well as a whole, but Milwaukee and my Cards are still hanging in there. Pretty tough, but all the other teams seem to be just really playing really subpar ball, especially the Reds. So, but yeah, my Cards are looking pretty good. I think that they're probably going to finish probably right behind the Brewers. I thought that they were going to take the division this year, but I think that the Brewers have a little bit of the edge right now, just because they have a little bit better pitching. So.
Yeah, no, I definitely can see that, and I don't know if the Reds are playing any subpar ball, but I mean maybe below subpar ball. But and then my Twins, we'll get to Derek shortly because I got a question to ask him, but about his Mets. But the Twins, for me, they got the little injury bug going. They placed a couple guys on the 10-day DL. Called up some guys, so they're hanging tough. The pitching staff is good. The bullpen, I think I heard, was 5-1 with like a 2-something ERA in their last 9 games, or roughly. So they're definitely holding good. They're in first place, shockingly, right now. But we'll see what happens. Now we go to the mighty Met fans. Coach D, how's it going? And how are the Mets?
Good evening. Mets are hanging in. They're playing good ball. Everybody's hitting, playing great defense. Pitching is doing good. Jacob deGrom today got put on the 60-day DL, but I think that's just via rules. It's not mean he's any more hurt or anything. He was always supposed to come back in June, and you got to make the IL cover all that and stuff. So he was on the 10-day, but I don't understand how that works, but he's there. But they are playing good. They should be starting here in a few minutes against the Nationals again. And I mean, so far, so good. All the Mets haters. And, I always ask the question, who hates the Mets and why? but they're saying, oh, don't worry, they always start hot and finish last. Well, they always get injured a ton.
Yeah.
And then you when you got, half your lineup on the DL, it's hard to play consistently. But seems a bit different this year. Everybody's helping. I'm starting to believe the biggest factor this year is Buck Showalter. He has them playing smart baseball. There's no bad plays. There's no base running blunders. The infield is playing great. Got Jeff McNeil. Now he's playing second base since they dropped that other guy. What's his face?
God, harsh feelings there for Cano.
Yeah, never liked the trade at all. Like I always said, he should have never left the Yankees. He wasn't near as good since he left, and he's got hurt, and then he's used PEDs several times and got caught. So he took himself out of Hall of Fame consideration himself. That was when he was on the Yankees. Yeah, he was Hall of Fame. He just had to play 7-8 more years at that level, and he didn't. So anyway, but the Mets are playing great. It's they got guys in the minors that are banging on the door to get up there, and some of the Mets acquisitions have paid off. Travis Jankowski is a good defensive outfielder. He's known for his speed and defense, but he's hitting over 300 now in the starts when he does play. Sterling Marte playing right field. Man, game after game, you hear something Sterling Marte did. And he was buried back in Arizona, I think, or in Pittsburgh, I'm sorry, a couple of years ago. He was good, but nobody ever knew about him. He's a solid hitter, hits 280, 290, and hit you 20, 27 home runs, play Gold Glove outfield, steal you 20 bases. He's a good player, and now he's in New York, and now people are going, who? So go Mets. They are right where they need to be, going along. No issues. Knock on wood, really hard.
So Dirk, you saying the Mets are in midseason form right now?
Kind of getting there, yeah. The hitters are doing well, but I think Alonso's starting to heat up. He's starting to bang the long ball. Had a couple of home runs the other day, and he's near the top. He's got 22 RBIs, something like that, near the top. They got 6 or 7 guys that should hit at least 20 home runs with a decent batting average. But it'll be their defense and pitching. Pitching has been top notch. Tyler McGill, Carlos Carrasco's been pitching great. And David Peterson, who was up and down a couple times from the minors, but he's come in and done some long relief and a spot start. Seth Lugo's in there. Edwin Diaz as the number 1 reliever. He's killing it. They're just looking good. They're playing good ball now, and they're right where they need to be. They're at, 21 wins or so. They did have a couple of rainouts over the weekend, so I was wondering if the days off might do something, but they had the doubleheader with Philadelphia the other day. They lost the first one, a close game, and came back in the second game. Earlier in the week, they were down 7-1 to the Phillies, and the Mets scored 7 runs to win 8-7 in the bottom of the 9th inning. And so they've got some resiliency. They've made some comebacks. I'm hoping for the best. I think they're going to be fine. We're kind of at that weird, almost quarter way through the season. So, there's things we can discuss, thing about baseball and about the baseball itself and about some announcements that Manfred made, the MLB commissioner, that we'll catch up on the end. Okay, so
with
On some
DeGrom out, with DeGrom out, coming back probably in July or late June, early July.
yeah, that's what I think.
Do you think, because Chris kind of brought it up, are you kind of worried might affect the team a little bit, or how do you think that'll play out?
Well, he's around the team all the time. He doesn't sit at home. So I think they'll just welcome it as, pretty much we've got our ace back.
Okay.
I hope he comes back healthy. It's, I don't know, maybe he'll throw a little differently. I did read a thing about Noah Syndergaard, who's now on the Angels, okay? And he was hurt the previous couple of years because of arm issues, right? Well, he used to throw it 99 to 101 consistently. He was one of the guys that had the most 100-mile-an-hour pitches. Well, now with the Angels, he's doing really well. He's got like a 2.5 ERA. He's won 4 or 5 games, and he's throwing a 94.5 fastball now. He's using other stuff. Maybe he's learned how to pitch instead of just throw hard, but they said he's been very effective. I haven't looked at his pitch by pitch count. I'm sure he can heat it up to 98, 99 when he really wants to, but he's learning to pitch. Maybe DeGrom needs to take a page out of that, come back, because DeGrom's always had great control. His arm issues started a couple of years ago when he started hitting 100 a lot.
Okay.
He used to throw 96, 97. Then he threw 98, 99 with an occasional 100. And last year he was 100 a lot.
Yeah.
And I just wonder about the strain on the arm, his body. He's very lean. He's very sinewy. Maybe that little extra was just putting too much stress on it. Maybe if he backs off a hair, because he's always had great control. That's never been an issue. And he's always struck out 10 batters per 9. So maybe if he can dial it back, and make another pitch, one of his prime pitch, I don't know how you say get a better slider, or maybe a change up in his repertoire, something other off speed that'll give hitters another thing to think. I mean, freaking 96 is fast. It's just so normal nowadays in baseball. It used to be, wow, that guy throws 95. He throws hard. Now they don't even 95. Man, that's like gigantics. And he never threw that.
Exactly. Exactly. So we got 2 finals. Well, a doubleheader that went final. Oakland and Detroit split the doubleheader, split home field advantage in the doubleheader because the game 1, Oakland was the home team in Detroit. They lost 6-0, and then they bounced back on the road and beat the Tigers 4-1.
That's not a typo.
No, it's not a typo. No, it's not. We looked it up. We got the White Sox and Guardians just started. We got the Rangers Royals just started. Orioles and Cardinals are in the second. Twins and Astros are in the second. Astros are up by 1. The Red Sox versus the Braves. End of 2, 6-0 Red Sox. Blue Jays over the mighty Yankees. 3-0, top of 3. The Nationals over the Mets. 1-0 right now in the 4th. Who else we got? Brewers and Reds tied at 1. And then the Dodgers all over Pittsburgh right now, 7-0. So, so Dirk, you brought up something that Manfred brought up. So why don't you go ahead and explain what he brought up?
Manfred?
Yeah.
Okay. He put out a message today. MLB, they have two opportunities, I guess. They want to come up with a substance that can help the pitcher grip the ball better.
Okay.
Rosin, you put it on your hands, and then you're supposed to wipe your hand off, okay? You can't put it on your hand and then grab the ball. That will be a balk. You know, you have to wipe your hand off. The rosin was put there years ago, mainly to dry up the sweat. Okay, and
Mhm.
you guys that go bowling, rosin is a big part of that.
Yep.
And
It
I
really
would
is.
use it when I bowled because it makes you grip the ball, especially if you're a little sweaty.
Yeah.
So rosin, it dries your hand off, which makes you grip the ball better. A lot of the players and pitchers are saying the ball's wound too tight, the seams are smaller. But I think Manfred's on the right idea. They said next year they will have a substance the pitcher can use. They have two things that they're testing now. That'll be a good thing. I think they need something, a little advantage, not the black spider or spider tack or whatever it was.
Yep.
That was too grippy, but they need something to define it a little more. Or maybe the balls are supposed to be made uniformly. Now people are saying they're wound too tight, you know, and I don't know how do you do that. You have to inspect the balls as they come out of the factory. You know, you would like them to have a little bit more noticeable ridge on them so they have a little more break, you know, things like that. It's you know, personally, when, you know, the baseballs I use in my high school league, you know, they're pretty much just like the Rawlings baseballs. They're
Well,
just cheaper. But I sit there and I try to rub the ball hard to see if I can get the leather to stretch or feel it move. I tell you, I can't do anything. So you know, pitchers rubbing it and stuff, they know what they're doing. You know, because they've been around. They can grab a ball and feel it and know whether it's gonna break hard on a curve or, you know, go slick on a fastball or something. I think pitchers do need something. Batters got pine tar. You know, obviously you can't put pine tar because then you get for the baseball, you get the spin rate too out of control. You know, the biggest thing is because so many batters are getting hit by pitches
yeah.
that are up and in. And because these guys throw so hard, you know, they might be trying to throw at the belt and get it inside, right? But the push they get and they throw so hard, the ball just climbs a little bit or doesn't drop as far, and it goes up into the shoulder head area. You really don't want that. You know, back in the old days, guy hits a home run, shows up the pitcher, he's going to get plunked in the thigh or the ribs, and the pitcher would throw it right at him there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they would like it to go because you're not going to get hurt there, you know. And I'm sure these pitchers are kind of trying to do the same thing, but everybody throws 98, 99. You know, it's I know Greg a couple of weeks ago you were doing when we were talking about the spider tack, you know, and this stuff and the way they snap the ball and the spin rate. You know, something they need to control the ball better because the way it is now, the way these guys throw, it's just getting a little bit away from them, you know, and that's all it takes. It's not like they're throwing it over the catcher's head. It's just getting a little away. They want to throw inside to send a message, but it's getting away from them. There's too many balls getting hit up in the shoulder, up here. Too many. It's never been like that, you know, and there's no reason for it because it's not like anybody showed everybody up. Batter does get mad because this can end your career, you know, but I guarantee you the pitcher didn't mean it most of the time.
No, I get it. Greg, how about you? What did you think on Manfred and them guys trying to come up with something?
Well, you know, I haven't really been a big fan of Manfred and a lot of the stuff that he's came up with over the past few years since he's taken the job. So actually, I think that this might be one of his better ideas because I think that if you can get something, because we've seen it last year, you know, pitchers getting hounded, you know, for substances on the baseball and everything, and the spin rate and all those no hitters that they had last year. I think they had about 8 or 9 of them last year or so. I think last year didn't they have the most no hitters of any major league season?
There was a lot. There was several combined no hitters that were included and a couple of 7-inning no hitters, right? But
Yeah.
total, yeah, I think it was either close or above the record.
Yeah, so last year, whatever they were putting on the ball was definitely giving them an advantage. But I think that if Major League Baseball can come up with something that they can agree on that is not going to be an illegal substance like Vaseline or, fingernail files or something like that, I think that'd be pretty good. That way, it could give pitchers a little bit more control and everything. Because when pitchers are losing control and they're hitting people that they're just trying to brush off the plate or stuff like that, and hitting people unintentionally, I think that they need to do something to kind of clean it up. I don't know the depths of what they're wanting to do as far as trying to come up with this substance, but I think that they need to do something to make it a little bit better for the pitchers so that they don't have to try to go back to their old tactics and stuff. And I know that Garrett Cole probably likes this because ever since they took all of his little tools away, he's been getting hammered, in a few starts. So
Yeah.
I actually kind of like this idea.
No, they definitely got to get something because the batters are getting hit quite a bit. And like Dirk said, it's not in the thigh in the back; it's up high. It's in the face, head area. So
Yeah,
they definitely got to do
that's a
something.
ball getting away from the pitcher.
Oh yeah, no, I get
There's
it.
maybe Bob Gibson would throw at somebody's head, but if he threw at somebody, it was always on the thigh.
Yeah.
But if he, when it sails up,
Yep.
it's in the catcher. If the catcher's down low and inside and the ball's 3 feet higher, that ball got away from the pitcher.
Yep.
They
No
need
doubt.
something for more control. They really do.
Yep. No, you're right. So Tim Fielder left a comment earlier before we got going, or earlier before we got on the Manfred rant. Derek, how does it feel that your team, the Mets, the Yankees, and the Dodgers, can pay their way to the World Series?
That's pro sports, dude.
I think you might be.
Personally, I hate money in sports.
Yep.
The way I view, like with Major League Baseball, it's like this in football and like it in basketball. What you're watching is college teams because every 3 or 4 years your roster is going to turn over now. An exception would be a guy that plays 10 years with one club, and then finishes his career at another club. You're hardly ever going to have a guy that plays 17 years, starts out with the Mariners and finishes with the Mariners. Okay. I love that. I used to love that, when you had your stars and then you got a new guy from the minor leagues or you made a trade. Okay. Free agency in its early beginnings, Catfish Hunter going to the Yankees and starting the whole thing. Okay, then you picked up 1 or 2 more players. But now it's every year. Teams are, the Mets lineup is a lot different. They've got like 3 or 4 guys that are regulars now that weren't there just last year, And so you can be a fan of the team. And this is where the big city teams, the White Sox, I'm sure, going to come back this year.
Mm-hmm.
The Cubs just shot themselves in the foot, so they got a couple of years. You can't build out of it quick, but the teams like the Rangers, who are really not in a small market. This is the 5th largest market in the U.S., Dallas-Fort Worth. Okay,
Yep.
They did make 2 big signings this year, and that's okay because Simeon hasn't started out hitting yet, but he is historically a slow starter. Corey Seager's been as advertised, and so therefore, but they've been playing better lately. Okay, Angels picked up Syndergaard, and not a bad. It was like 3 years, $23 million, and I was like, that's basically what the Mets offered him, and he went to LA. So I don't know why that happened. And but it's all about the money. Hey, Greg, St. Louis didn't pay Albert a big check to come back this year, right?
No, they didn't pay him very much at all, because he got that huge contract out of the Angels, and then the contract expired, and then the Cardinals just threw a little bit of money. But I think that Pujols is basically playing for pretty much pennies on the dollar now. And I don't think he's going to tear it up right now.
Not doing
at his
bad,
age,
though.
but no, he's not doing too bad. But I like how he's wanting to finish his career though where he started. I do like that.
That
And
does
And the
show
Arenado
something.
thing too. They picked up Arenado, and then they had the Rockies end up paying a good chunk of that contract.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing with
Oh,
free
God.
agency nowadays too. You can pick up an expiring contract, and the other team has to pay it to your guys for 2 years, and then you take over. It's just the way it's gonna be now. Your rosters are got even 20 years ago. You're like the Yankees had the core four. You had Jeter, you had Posada, you had Pettit,
Bernie.
and Bernie, the core four. That was their name. They were their solid. Teixeira came along for a few years. They had Paul O'Neill for a couple of years. They got Didi Gregorius after Jeter retired, but he was really the last of the core fours. And you might find, because all them guys were like the same age when they came up. I hate the Yankees, but I thought it was cool. You know what I mean? Because I respect baseball. I hate the Yankees, but they have won 27 times, but not this decade or last decade. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's
So Pujols' contract is $2.5 million for
Yeah.
1 year.
and
Yeah,
he
which
knows
is-
money.
Which is not
Anyway.
really big money because when he was with the Angels, he was getting like $20 million a year or something like that.
Yeah,
So
He was
like that.
up there.
yeah.
So Chris, your Rangers went out and spent money, and it's not paying off for them.
Right.
So what's your thoughts on teams going out and spending some money?
If you got the money and you know who you're going after free agency or the draft, I mean spend it, because a lot of times it's not always going to be there. You're going to have to pay other contracts. So if you can spend it, right now it seems like Seager's doing better. He just got a home run, I don't know, about 5 minutes ago. So I mean, it's going to take time to build the team, and it's probably not going to be that way, for 3-4 years. It's going to change, but you just got to hope that he does stay, and he likes it here, or any signing for any team.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
know.
going to take time. See, a lot of fans think you sign 2-star athletes like Seager and Simeon, who were all stars, right? And they're still on this. Well, Simeon's like 31, but Seager's 27. And they sign long-term contracts. Well, it's not going to immediately make you a first-place team. You
Yeah.
still need more pieces. They do have some good players. At least the owners are showing they're willing to spend money. So the Rangers lost 100 games last year. They're not losing 100 this year. They might lose 85. They might end up 75 and 85, something like that, right? Or I think they could play 500, and be in the hunt. But
Yeah.
they need a hot month, and we'll see as the summer goes along.
I feel like this season's going to be a springboard, maybe to a future season.
Oh, yes, because now that they got the Dome Stadium and it's not hot here,
Yeah.
players will want to come here. It's a nice stadium. DFW is a nice place to live, to grow your kids. It's a good area, very prosperous, great schools. There's a lot of attractiveness in DFW. So they could, I get on the Rangers fan because they're just saying fire Woodward, and they get all negative out of it. I'm like, man, you're not
We
going to
do that
go
with Stars
to
and
the
Cowboys.
World Series in 1 year. You know, you don't have the talent, but you have some good young players now.
Yeah.
You know, some of their regulars are pretty good players, you know. They've got a couple of catchers that are good. Some of the outfielders are good. You know, Adolis Garcia, obviously all-star last year, and he should be a regular. And he's doing the same thing, hitting home runs and making spectacular catches. You know, it's a start, you know, and with the Rangers, it's their pitching. Okay, bunch of young guys, but they're sort of figuring it out. You know, if you take away the first 2 weeks, they're right
playing
around
500.
playing last 3 weeks or so. They're playing right around 500 ball. So, you know, just keep it up. Look for little steps, baby steps, the things you want to see. You know, much like, well, what the Twins are going through now. You know, Correa's on the DL, but they got a guy that called up. He's supposedly, he's supposedly star guy in the waiting. So
yeah, they wanted him to, before they called him up, they wanted him to play major chunk down in AAA.
Yeah.
So they called him up, you know, to fill the shoes. But
well, you know what a lot of people said also? They wanted him to keep him in the minor leagues, just like the Cubs kept Chris Bryant for a year, so they'd have another year of control.
Oh no! They,
you know, I heard that.
It was injury related, and it was the 2020 season. You know, being that they didn't play, so they wanted him to be healthy. The plan was for him to, you know be down there until probably September call-ups if they had.
You know, it would probably be good for him. He comes up here, he plays 15 games, and if he does okay, Correa comes back, you put him back down in the minors. He's got a taste now. He's got a little confidence, you know, and he goes back in the minors, bring him up again in September, you know, and this way, if he does good in September, you can maybe add him to the playoff roster, you know, because he's already played.
Yep.
You know, that's a positive thing.
What the plan was to keep him down there, but I'm glad he's getting a look. A lot of the young guys are getting a look. So
yeah.
So let's look at we're about a month into the season. We'll start with the American League leaderboard here for the stats. Bogart is leading the league at 343 average, followed by Crayford at 340. Nolan from the Cleveland, 338, and then Miller from Cleveland with 338. Then we got the home run leaders. We got a tie with first with Rizzo, Buxton, and Judd at 9. Alvarez with 8, and then Trout with 7. RBIs, Ramirez has 30 right now, and then we got a tie at 22 with Rizzo, France, and Walsh. Hits, Franco has 38 hits, Bogart's 37, Denver's 37, France 37. Stolen bases, Rodriguez has 10. That's about it there. And then pitching wise, Morat with Toronto has 4, Gilbert with 4, Blackburn with 4. A lot of people with 4. So, anybody jump out right away to you guys for being MVP or Cy Young? We'll start with Greg. Anybody jump out at you?
You know, I don't think there's anybody playing a little bit better baseball from a hitting perspective than Rizzo. You know, I think that Rizzo's having a phenomenal season so far with 9 home runs, and he's getting a lot of RBIs, and he's really playing solid defense over there for the Yankees. That was a good re-signing, getting Rizzo back in the lineup. I thought that he might have went back to the Cubs or something this offseason, but the Yankees did a great job trying to make sure that he stayed in the lineup, and he's been a great guy in the clubhouse. I'm not sure yet for MVP, but I think that right now, I think that Rizzo's got a good chance at it. I mean, he's really tearing it up with the bat.
Okay.
Right now, I don't really have a clear picture for Cy Young. It's a little bit too early to tell. And there's so many teams in the American League that are playing below 500 ball. So, so I don't know who's gonna emerge. I don't, maybe a really good pitcher on a bottom dweller may surface somewhere. Kind of like how DeGrom won the Cy Young for the Mets a few years ago, and the Mets were not very good at all. But DeGrom was like their stable force out there, tearing it up every night. And
I think he had a better batting average than the Mets lineup when he pitched.
yeah. Yeah.
Didn't he win it? He was like 10-13, a losing record, the first one.
Yeah, I think so.
And the second one, he kind of flipped it. He was like 13-10, which the Mets, Tom Seaver went through that. The Mets would never hit when he pitched. Yep. And I think if you look at the history of a lot of teams and a lot of super great pitchers, I think the pitcher's own team, they're watching the other team every at bat struggle, and it's got to get in their head a little bit, Mm-hmm. And but that's been a weird case, Yeah.
How about you, Chris? Do you got an early favorite for MVP and Cy Young in the American League?
I'm not sure. I think it's a little early to figure out who's going to win those two awards. But I mean, it could be anybody in the American League and maybe anybody in the National League too.
Yeah. Dirk, how about you? You got anybody that stands out, or?
Well, I should get the newspaper more or read it, because I used to just every day I could tell you the top 15 hitters and what they're hitting, and I ain't getting a freaking newspaper at $3 a pop anymore, And I know we got our phones and everything. Well, Byron, your guy, Byron Buxton, he's a big reason the Twins are where they are. Manny Machado's having a great year. He's hitting 380, and he's got home runs and RBIs. That's, like Greg said, Anthony Rizzo. I think he likes New York. Okay. Yeah. I thought when he went there, I'm like, yeah, that's a guy that could be a Yankee and succeed, and because he's still kind of young, 29 or 30, right around in there. And, he could, he could play there for 10 years and people go, he was a Cub, and, he's a good ball player. He always has, but I always liked him. I wanted the Mets to get him a couple times, Then there's the usual suspects, you got your Vladimir Guerrero. Here's one on the Guardians, Jose Ramirez. Yeah. He's having quite a year. Who's their first baseman, Hader or Haddons? He hit a home run that tied the game or put them ahead the other day. And when they showed a video of it today, he went ballistic in the dugout. I loved it. He was jumping up and down, screaming, threw his batting helmet so hard against the wall. I'm sure it's busted, and people were backing away from him because he was losing it, but he was happy. And I love that, he's going to be, he could be a guy that comes out of there. Let's see. Mike Trout's always in that story. Nope. He will be. Bryce Harper will be. Ohtani, of course, hit his first Grand Slam the other day. Stanton on the Yankees is doing pretty good. Aaron Judge on the Yankees is doing well, despite his half the New York fans hate him because he wants $1 billion to play.
Yeah.
Whereas I would say, play a full season and then we'll see. And, I think the Mets are going to make a strong push for him next year. I won't say no, but I just hope he plays at least 130 games. And maybe with DH, it'll extend. He won't get so hurt. Yeah. He won't tweak those big bulging muscles, and everything. A lot of things. Cy Young, yeah, it's still in the air. It's early for pitchers, you know,
it is.
and it's early.
But a lot of pitchers aren't even going. You know, we've only had a few pitchers that I recall going 7 innings now. You know, they're pulling them after 5 in the third. You know,
Yeah,
6.
you can't look at innings anymore because they
No.
pitch 5 good innings, and then the 6th inning comes, and another pitcher's out there, and he's barely got enough for a win. So you got 4 innings to screw up the game for him.
Yep.
Not necessarily lose, but you give up the lead. He could have given up 1 run, but you give up the lead, he gets no credit for anything. You know.
All right. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, there's some good names out there. Rizzo is definitely one of them. Buxton. You know, Ryan for the Twins, the pitcher, rookie pitcher. I mean, he's pitching pretty decent for them, holding them. Right now, he's the ace. He's got a 1.74 ERA. I think he's 3-1 or 4-1. I like him. I know we're not supposed to do this, but I'm going to do it anyways because I want to jinx the no-hitter that's going on in Minnesota here. Houston's throwing a no-no against Minnesota right now, guys, so we're going to talk about it. No, I'm just kidding. But they are going in a no-hitter.
No hitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, Chris will remember this. Martin Perez was pitching a no-hitter perfect game for the Rangers, right? So I was listening on the radio to our sports radio, and they're pretty funny, a couple of the guys. The one guy, sometimes he's just an idiot, and I hate him. And so he said, oh, Martin Perez has got a perfect game thrown. And his partner said, shut up, don't say it. And he's going, why? Because it's a unwritten rule. And he went, perfect game. And then he started chanting, perfect game. Like 2 minutes later, he gave up a hit.
Yeah.
And the other guy's still mad at him for that. You know? And I tell you, I'd be like that too. 3 years ago, little quick story. One of my younger sons, I have 2 twins, they played varsity baseball. Well, one of them, Tony, he's pitching against Irving High School. Okay. First inning, 3 up, 3 down. Second inning, 3 up, 3 down. Third inning, 3 up, 3 down. Fourth inning, 3 up, 3 down. So I started getting nervous, you know, and he gave up a walk and there was an error too. And then the 5th inning, 3 outs. 6th inning, 3 outs. And I'm like, I am so freaking nervous. I'm sitting there. I moved away from any. One dad gets up and he walks across and says to the other dad right in front of me, he goes, oh, a no-hitter, huh? I'm like, shut the fuck up, you know? And so the 7th inning, high school baseball is 7 innings. First batter, first pitch, ground ball over the third base bag, double. Right. Then he got 3 more outs, so he finished with a 1-hitter shutout.
Well, that's a good. So
yeah, no, it was great, man.
Yeah.
You know, but I was so freaking nervous. Tony said he wasn't nervous at all, and I'm like, but he's that kind of ball player. He's a guy on the mound. When he got hit, it didn't. That's why I love when I had him. I would pitch him. I'd put him in pressure situation. Nothing bothers him.
Good.
He's a competitor. He's one of them guys. When you play a game with him, if you play one-on-one basketball or something, when he gets the competitive juices on him, he's got that look in his eye.
Yep.
You're not beating me, and it's like he's the nicest kid in the world. He's a great guy, but when he's on a court or a field, he's got that look.
We got a couple comments here, Frank.
You know, when you're
in, Mets baby 20-10. So Frank must be a Mets fan. And then Jerome's chiming in. Hello, Coast to Coast Network. Bless you all. Bless you too, buddy. Thanks for joining. So about an hour ago, I just saw this on ESPN. Padres manager Bob Melvin is going in for surgery. I read the story Wednesday. So
for what?
Prostate. So
good luck to him. Prayers for him.
Yeah, good luck to him.
We don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So yeah, we just want to send our wishes to him. Hoping he has a great recovery, comes back, uh, and helps that team. Get into the playoffs. So outside of that, guys, I don't got much more to talk about. There ain't much going on in baseball today. So I mean, there's a lot of games going on, but
Mhm.
no big stories besides Dirk. Did I saw the Mets have to pay Cano? So are they going to put him on the Bobby Bonilla plan?
That's the joke. Now, there is the Bobby Bonilla Day, which Steve Cohen, he's the richest owners in baseball. So he owes Cano $40 million or whatever. That's pennies,
Oh yeah.
he just goes, I don't care. The Mets are better without him, Evidently, he was good in the locker room. He provided good advice. He wasn't nothing. He just didn't have it anymore.
Yeah.
He just.
Well, he sat out last year, didn't he, or the year before?
Well, last year he didn't sit because he was on the PED thing.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay.
And the year before was the shortened season where he did pretty well. He hit 300, with the 60 games or whatever, and hit 10 home runs. And he did pretty well. And they thought, he still got his bat. But it's 2 years ago. It doesn't take much to lose it,
Yeah, exactly.
A year can make a difference. And but I want to go to New York for Bobby Bonilla Day. Steve Cohen, when he bought the Mets, he said, okay, the Mets made this stupid deal, which Bobby Bonilla took.
That's what, June 4th?
It's July 1st. Okay.
July 1st, that's what it is.
He gets $1 million, and it's not quite been 30 years. Steve Cohen, and this is brilliant, I think. You know what? Let's celebrate it. Hey, we'll have him out there. We'll have T-shirts. We'll present him with $1 million check. You know what? That stadium's going to be packed. He's going to make way more than $1 million on that one game. I thought it was brilliant, and I want to go. Probably a bleacher seat is $500.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, and that's what we're going to have with money now. Couple other guys did the same kind of deal, though. Brett Saberhagen did that with another team he finished, and nobody.
Chris Davis just did it with Baltimore.
Yeah, it was that Chris Davis that did it too. Okay, yeah, and nobody talks about Chris Davis. I mean, he didn't even play till he was 35. He just. I thought he was going to be a great player for a lot of years because he started out pretty good. 30 home runs, good defense, good bat, and all of a sudden he couldn't hit no more, and once in a while hit a home run. So, but he set up the rest of his life. Good for him.
All right, guys. So we'll go around, give some final thoughts here. Big Dog Greg, what's up? Final thoughts.
My final thoughts is that there's just been way too much overthinking and analytics going on in baseball. The days of managers, the old school managers like Sparky Anderson, Jim Leland, some of those guys that could tell when their pitchers were getting tired and when to pull them. Those days have come to a close, and I hate to see it because there's just way too much going on with wanting to change the rules. Suggesting putting in a time clock for pitchers and everything because they think that the fans are getting restless, that the games are going too slow. I think it's time to keep some things in baseball sacred. We don't need to put in a pitching clock like they have a shot clock in the NBA and college. We don't need to come up with all these different rules, a phantom runner, a runner at second, if the game goes into extra innings, stuff like that. Pulling pitchers just because, in the fifth inning, whether they've thrown like 60 pitches and their arm's still fresh. Going through watching a baseball game that goes through 13 pitchers, between two teams just because they're pulling guys after 2 1/3 innings, because of some statistics. I think that it's time to bring back some common sense in baseball and just let the pitchers go out when they don't have anything left, pull them, But I think that all these suggestions that are coming from the top or from the manager standpoint. I think that they need to just go back to common sense baseball. I think it'll be a lot more fun when they start trying to get away from the analytics and just play pure baseball.
Yep. No, exactly. Derek, how about you? Last 30 seconds here.
All right. Well, I'm going to tag on to Greg, Mr. G's there. There's too much of it, and like I said earlier, Buck Showalter is kind of an old school manager. Okay. He's 65. All right. And he's doing things. Mets have won some games on some plays because Buck knew some obscure rule and the Mets took advantage of it, right? It's just baseball, okay? It's plain old. The analytics are information, but you shouldn't rely on the information. You see all these guys, like the right fielder, next batter comes up and he's looking in his hat. You know what they used to do? They used to study before the game. They used to study the hitters. They'd have a team meeting and they say, okay, when Chris P. Bacon comes up, and if we're throwing a left-hander, he generally pulls the ball.
Yep.
If we're throwing a right-hander, he pushes the ball. He hits, he hits slow ball pitchers, deep fly balls. He hits fastball pitchers, ground balls. Now they got it like the outfielder knows what pitches are going to be thrown and how he should play it. Okay, but they shouldn't have to look in their head. They should be studying the game. That's analytics, but that's old school analytics. I don't like the thought of a robo umpire, okay, because there's going to be things with that. And I ran into an umpire the other day. He said, well, yeah, but that robot umpire can't tell. It can tell the width of the plate, but you get a 6'1" batter and a 5'8" batter. How does it know where the top is? And he said they're having issues with that in the A League that they're doing. I don't want it at all. It's like I don't want a ghost runner either. Maybe if it gets to 12 innings, then put in a go. Let the game try to win on its natural thing. Because really, how many games go past 12 innings?
Yeah, exactly.
And then when they go 18, it's kind of exciting. It's like, wow, they went 18 innings, and then who's going to pitch the next day? All that stuff. Why is it bad? Why does everybody want it to be over quick? If you want it to be over quick, let's go up with a 3-ball, 2-strike count. You get one pitch, dude.
There you go.
Like softball in extra innings. And I love playing softball with a 3-2 count because you knew the guy was going to swing. The game did go along. Let's do that in softball where we're fun, not in baseball. Don't mess with the fabric of the game. Right, Greg?
Yeah.
No,
yeah, I want to keep it pure and simple. Just keep baseball in its purest form. I think that's what the fans really deserve and what the players really want.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think
make small changes as time goes on, like the substance for the pitcher to maybe grip the baseball a little bit. Okay, because that's been I know it's been 100+ years thing, probably 150. Back in the 1860s, guy probably picked up a chunk of horse poop, and shoved it in his pocket, and every 3 or 4 pitches he'd rub some on the ball, and but something, the pitchers are complaining. The athletes are stronger than they ever have been. And so you got to make something for that, but don't change the game. They made the bases 2 inches bigger. Okay, I guess, I don't understand. But then somebody's saying, well, we got to make the pitcher's mound 6 inches closer. Oh, that's good. So let's take 6 inches off his 102-mile-an-hour fastball and give the batter 1/1000th of a second to hit the ball.
Yeah, exactly. No, you're right there, guys.
It's to me. This is my opinion. Sorry for all you fantasy guys out there that never played high school sports because you weren't a good athlete. I'm sorry. I think this is fantasy driven, and it's the guys that say, Well, that ball was out of bounds because one blade of white grass touched it,
Yep.
you know, and it was the white blade that was bent over. I'm like, really? You know,
Yeah.
we played
Well-
with you. I love the human element, just not Angel Hernandez.
Yeah.
Well, definitely got you on that one. Chris, how about you? Got a
Yeah.
few seconds here.
Thanks
Yes.
everyone for Washington, and yeah, I don't want the game to change, but I feel like it's coming. It's going to happen. Players are just going to have to adapt and find other ways to to adapt to it. But I think it's coming.
Yeah, no, I definitely. I mean, I could see the runner late in the game. 12, 13 innings in, but keep the game as pure as could be. I mean, to me, that's baseball. But with that being said, guys, keep joining Coast to Coast. We got great shows. Top of next hour, 9:00 hour, will be our wrestling show. Tuesday Night Mania. We're gonna have a couple guests on, talk a little wrestling, talk about a Below Zero wrestling promotion that's gonna have their 1-year anniversary show on May 15th. So check that out. With that being said, tune in next week for myself, Big B, Crispy Bacon, Coach D, Big Dog Greg, and maybe, who knows, we might have a Sarge sighting. He was trying to get on today. So with that being said, check us out next Tuesday. Have a good one.
All right.